two, one. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Living Yosh. I have an amazing guest, and someone I'm honored to call a good friend, Ari Fraser. Ari is a singer, songwriter, filmmaker, and creative visionary whose music has touched millions. His songs blend powerful emotion, faith, hope in a way that reminds us we're never alone. With millions of streams across the flat platforms and a growing international audience, Ari has built a career by staying authentic and using music to bring people together rather than divide them. But beyond the music, Ari is a husband, father, and someone who truly believes that art has the power to heal hearts and build bridges between people. Ari, thank you so much for being here. I want to ask you about the song Own Me. I want you to tell me how you came up with that, a little more than meaning behind it. It's a beautiful song. I was actually listening to it again before you came on. And it's pretty surreal that my friend is in this really cool video. And obviously, you have an amazing voice, but I want to hear the background behind it.
So a lot of first of all, thank you for having me on the show and for doing this interview with me. I appreciate it. And yes, Yosh, I consider you a friend as well.
Stop.
Great example, and a role model. You came from a very difficult punch, and you're just like I was saying before, you're marching in such an amazing new direction, and I'm happy to be part of your journey. So it's an honor for me as well.
You're a big part of my journey.
Thank you.
You keep me strong.
You of mine. So about Own Me. Own Me came in a little bit like a lot of my songwriting, I can't just sit down and decide I want to write this or I'm going to put together a song right now. I don't have what to do. I have a couple of minutes. I'm at doesn't work that way. What happens is you get this inspiration that's almost like an itch can't like it's like you got to get it out of you and you sit down and it just comes and it goes out. Typically I'll write the entire song with that inspiration. Sometimes it doesn't work though. Sometimes it gets stuck and you're in kind of halfway or you're in that mood that you were or mode or you were inspired by something that you saw or you were very moved by something that someone else said. And so you'll write something. Own Me is a product of several inspirations. I don't know if you kind of heard, so it's got a very serious part to it, right? Where I say some serious words, right? I'm like,
No, I got it.
it's almost like a ballad. It should have been a slow kind of emotional song because for the foreseeable future, I'm not home. It's too late for me, right? Those lyrics are they're very desperate and kind of sad, right? And I remember coming back to that because of course I had a sad moment, or we all have sad moments. So that inspiration was coming from a place of, a more desperation, a down kind of feeling depleted, feeling like you just need to break out and get a break for yourself a little bit, and people will argue with you and they'll say, but you need to think about this or you need to think about that. And you say, yeah, you're right. But just because you're right doesn't mean that that has to own me. And what really inspired me to write that song, when I reflect back at those words, because even when you're right, you still don't own me, you know? And that's the name of the song is Own Me. And the reason why is because I was writing this obviously in a very painful way because of the dispute of what's going on right now in Israel. You've got brothers and sisters that harshly disagree with each other
Yeah,
about
tell me about it.
and and I was so inspired because what I saw was this group of, Hasidic Jews, right? Where I was scrolling on Instagram like one night, like what we all do sometimes, and I saw this Hasidic Jewish, like you more ultra orthodox, right? Guy who's just who was encountered by someone who was obviously trying to antagonize him. And when he opened his mouth and started talking and speaking, all of a sudden, this person who was really angry with, the religious Jews or whatever it was, and the disputes about what's going on there, all of a sudden there was love. And when there was love between, because he inspired him, you could tell that the Jewish man came with love to the table. He didn't come with any hate. He wasn't, perturbed by his provocations. He just responded with love. And when the guy saw that, he was just it took all his sting away. They ended up like hugging it out or provocator interview that was looking for trouble. And this guy like turned him around. You could tell it was like real. It was just a real. And I was like, because even when you're right, you don't own me, right?
Yeah.
All I'm looking for. And if you look at the way that humans work, as humans, we're just looking to be understood, to be loved, to be accepted, right?
Yeah, that's
And
true.
people will do anything for that. They will do absolutely anything to just, and even if it means, being getting the wrong kind of love, the likes on Instagram or the TikTok, and it's like, and they'll do anything for those. And that creates this whole rush to make that whole approach of anti-love very popular. All the kind of promoted new age, young generation kind of men, the way that they perceive alpha and instead of being
Unreal.
comfortable and what they and comfortable with their emotions, comfortable with what they have to feel or say, it's almost like they go into this robotic, which is so unreal if you think about it, right? Like we know people like that, and
We do.
they're the most insecure people that exist. I mean, if you look at people like, oh my gosh, like you're alpha, how you're so strong, you're so mighty, and you down, right? And you strip them down and just talk to them, right? You give them a little bit of love, and all of a sudden you get a teddy bear, who's scared of the world. And so yeah,
It
don't
kind
get.
of reminds me of, when I was incarcerated, like, I'm not saying these people were teddy bears, but when I was there, and I've said this a million times, like, because I was scared because it happened right after October 7th, so I'm, like, thinking, "What is gonna happen to a Jew being here? Is there just, like, a red flag on or a target on being a Jew?" And once I started talking about my family, these guys that were probably, like, in my eyes, like, 7 feet tall, they were just chilled out guys, like, they had a family also, and, like, sometimes it's like a protective mechanism where you're just like, you gotta act tough and mean and angry. But it's really like kind of insecurity or it's not, you're not able to make decisions. So you have to act this way because you're so unsure of yourself. But when, like you said, when it comes down to it, they're just teddy bears. They're just like us, but they're figuring it out.
Everyone in this world has an aha moment, right? Sometimes we get several aha moments, right? To come when we're in the low of the low, like when we
Yeah.
feel like the lowest of the low. And I think that it kind of sucks that that's when the true personality comes out, is when we're in a desperate place, and that's when all the clouding effects kind of dissipate, and what we're left with is what really inspires us, where our soul really holds, where we're at. I mean, it can happen in prison. It can happen for me, it happened in the army, like in the military service. There was some like just desperate, like really, dangerous moments. You're looking at the wall behind you and you see a bunch of bullet holes, and nothing, and you're like touching yourself because you don't understand.
For people who don't know you like I know you, Ari's one of the toughest guys I know. So by him getting emotional and like kind of soft side of the song is unreal to see because he does not flinch when anything comes his way. So I just had to add that part.
No, well, it's you're right. I mean, in a sense, I consider myself to be, tough. In the business world, obviously, you have to be protective, and I think that wearing that shield is so important to do during your business transaction. If you're honest, you can be tough. If you walk the path, it can be tough. No, I'm saying if you have to be protective, instead of tough, then you should look. I think it's something to look inside and say, okay, am I being super, protective here? Am I being defensive? Is that what I'm projecting outwards? Is that why I want to have this persona of myself, this tough persona of myself, or am I protecting something that's really valuable, like maybe my family or my business? So it's okay to be tough when it comes to
No,
protecting.
yeah, I agree. You're just extra tough. Do you think music was a way to finally like bring out that, I guess, that sensitive side that, like you said, you're used to a daily basis where you have to show off that toughness, you have to be very straightforward, tough-minded. So music was fine. It's almost like therapeutic for you. You can finally get out of your system also in a way that you enjoy and you can reach out to others.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was definitely a journey to be able to do that. I think that I went through quite a bit, just a little bit about me, about my own journey that I'd love to just share with your
Yeah,
viewers.
please.
I come from a back my in it, before I started doing music, I had founded and opened a pretty large public insurance adjusting business, which obviously when you're based as a public adjuster, your job is to fight the insurance company to make sure that your client is getting what they deserve. And it kind of evolved into a lot of litigation. I became trained myself and became an expert in cases. So I did a lot of litigating and trials and trial work as an expert. It just toughens you up. It makes you really have to think on your feet, so to speak. So for me, that was the mode that I had to be in order to build something. I had to surround myself with a little bit of a protection layer. I got hurt a couple of times, definitely got taken for a ride like we all did, or we all do. And I mean, that part of me is there. I think that you're right. You hit the nail right on the head. I think that the music was an opportunity for me to bring out, like in increments, more of my emotional side.
I know you're a little bit of a softie, but I didn't want to say it.
Very comfortable with my softness. I love it when I can be soft. I see it as such a strength.
Me too. I think too many people trap inside them and they just fall apart one day.
Well, to me, if you are soft, there's no reason for you to not be able to also have your boundaries. Nobody's saying that, but if you're soft, you get a lot done.
So
It's just
I saw some videos of you singing at weddings, which I honestly I feel like that could be one of the most nerve wracking things you can do because there's no second takes.
no, there ain't. I tremble before every chuppah. Yeah, I don't do weddings per se, meaning I won't. I'll sing a romantic song for the couple when they're walking the first dance. I've done that. I'm not a very good dance singer. You need to have someone who knows how to get the crowd up and running and moving and all those. And that's a whole different kind of personality, a whole different kind of. So people call me for their weddings, and it's like, can you do the wedding? And I say, I certainly can do the wedding, but I'm going to have to subcontract the dancing part out to the best, DJ in town. And if they want live, the best, I do the chuppah part.
You got the dance moves, so if they ever need someone to dance,
Certainly dance moves, but yeah, but not chuppahs. No, chuppahs are very serious. They're very scared. For me personally, they're very inspirational because the way I perceive my role when I'm doing singing in general that has anything to do with with prayer is that I'm actually, and this is something that I feel is so missing and so important, but it's so missed in so many different chazanim, cantors, singers that are focused so strongly on their performance, and they don't realize what their job is. Like, what are you doing there? Why are you at a chuppah? Well, your role is to sing. What is that supposed to do? That is supposed to talk to people's soul. You're there to talk to people's neshama, right? To open it up a little bit, to get them to that emotional place that they're softened up. They forget about the stress of the day. They flush out the anger from whatever is going on, and they're in that moment. And your job as a singer, as a Levi, because I'm a Levite, and so in the base of Mikdash, and this is where we learn it from, in the temple, the Levite's job was to inspire, was to, if somebody was bringing an offering of asham, or for a sin, right, that they committed, the Levites would, this job would be to play sad music for them and inspire them to repent. And if it was a happy occasion, then they would play happy music and inspire them to, you know, bringing that outreach, reaching out to people when they're down. I love that part of.
I'm glad you said that because I tell a lot of people this that I interview that they're so lucky to have a gift, especially musicians, where at any moment you could close your eyes, start singing, you could change somebody's life in a moment. Like it's such a special gift. Like you must be like, thank God I got a gift like this because I don't have a voice. I can't cook. I'm sure there's something out there that I can do, but like you're really blessed.
Well, Yosh, you're finding your talent. You're definitely a good interviewer.
You're just saying that, man.
Like, just rolling with it, but you're for as far as I can tell, you're a great interviewer. I think that when it comes to blessings that you look at yourself as getting and what you don't get, it's a choice, right? Because you can have the best voice in the world. I know people with much better voices than I have, and and unfortunately, they're blessed with an equal amount of anxiety. And so they'll never perform, never bring out their singing, right? And you have people that are really blessed with a beautiful voice, and maybe they get very depressed because they get very famous very fast and then fall and they have, so I look at it like, yeah, it is definitely a blessing. I thank my parents though for not letting me go on the path of the Wonder Boy. I could say I was very mad about it at the time. I was right before my voice cracked when I was a kid. I had a voice that was like I could go up and up and up and did not stop. And I really wanted to go to professional vocal training. And my father was like, "No, you are not becoming a pop. You're going to stay on a path that if you want to do that later in your life, you will. But right now, you're going to stay in this path." And today, I look back and I'm so thankful because I've watched kids, go get up, hop. You see it with the stars. It could be a blessing, it could be a gift, and it can also be, it could be a curse, like anything. And I think it's all about how your mentality, how you see it. I look at it from the perspective today that I don't, thank God, but I don't need to make my money from my music. So it's a lot less commercialized. I have the time that I desire to have to develop the song. I'm not under the gun from some studio or some contract that someone signed. I've been approached by so many management companies and studios, and I have to sign a few NDAs, so I won't go into it. But yeah, there's just a lot of very famous, and they wanted to sign me. So I was like, wow, that's very nice to hear from you. And of course, but no, because I made that decision. That decision was for me to be.
Feel like you could be yourself if you don't have the pressure of like doing it because of finances or doing it for somebody else. Like you really get to enjoy it. Not that I mean it's great to be able to make a living off it, but you really get to do what you want. It's like this is your music. It's very real. It's coming from you. That's awesome.
I think it's also a rare thing. That's why I want to put in a little bit of a defense on the singers that a lot of the times they feel like they're pressured to commercialize everything.
It's hard.
Bring that point home. It's hard, when you're a chazan, let's say, and you get hired by a shul to pray for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. At some point, you forget that you're there to open people's hearts, to allow them to do tshuva, to inspire them to do. But you've got a few minutes, a few hours, 24-hour time frame that we get on Yom Kippur, and the chazan's job is probably the most important job in the shul that day.
Yeah.
It, you know, He'll get inspired from you're supposed to get inspired from the shofar on Rosh Hashanah. You're supposed to get inspired from all the simanim that we do. These are inspirations. The chazan has absolutely has the responsibility of making sure that he's tuned into that. I've been in situations you fly in the day before, you land, you barely slept, you barely you're running into shul, you just want to make it, and your voice. You know? So yeah, the power of necessity, right?
I want to ask you when you sing, and I'm gonna pick a few specific songs, but when you close your eyes, I mean, because I know when you sing, a lot of people close their eyes at least at one moment. Are there different things that you think about when you're singing different songs? Which I know might be a silly question, it might be obvious, but what do you have on your mind when or is every song you're thinking about the same thing? You're thinking about family. Are there different songs that give you different thoughts while you're singing them that give you more power when you're actually letting them out of your mouth?
So I'll tell you, it's very, very true. Every single one of those experiences, I have to go inside myself to feel. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm closing my
It
eye,
does.
disconnect myself from the world, so to speak, so that I can feel. So now, like I'm doing it right now, I'm closing my eyes. Now I'm in a space where I can feel because it's like a grounding moment. It's like you're anchoring yourself, and I do that when I'm anchoring into the inspiration of a song. So it's typically for more religious, more spiritual kind of music. If I wrote a tune for a prayer, or if I'm praying, I'll typically.
Well, I wanna give an example, like, one song, Dad said, "Don't you worry." Like, what are you thinking about when you sing that song? That's a very powerful song.
So Dad Said is a very powerful song. It's actually a song that was written by my uncle, Uncle Dave. Yeah, he's also a pretty famous musician in his world. He's out in Hawaii. He's a lot, live music. He's a great guy. So, story of Dad Said is when he came for my bar mitzvah. we had a little piano in the house, and we were living in Israel, and so he flew from California, where he was living, to Israel, and he played that song on piano. And my grandfather was there because he also had come in for the bar mitzvah, and it was almost like you can touch the electricity in the room, because my uncle certainly had his ups and downs in the relationships he had with his dad, and he's describing that in song. He was a real hardcore musician, like road trips and just talking the 60s, the 70s, that whole scene. So, but he was much older when he came for my bar mitzvah, and I could tell that there was a lot there, and it made me tear up. I cried. I remember.
Wow.
Yeah, it hit
I wish
me.
I was there.
It really hit me. It was like, whoa, especially the ending. And I told him, I said to him, one day I'm going to sing this song, because he just really hit it.
Yeah,
You with your
side of you.
voice, he said to me, you with your voice, because he had this like country. He said, you with your voice, you're going to make it much. So when I closed my eyes, you know how many times I had to sing that last part to actually get it out? I kept tearing up. It
Oh
was
my
difficult.
gosh. I want you to sing it now and start tearing up.
So yeah, it's that emotional. It's almost like you're wearing a helmet all of a sudden.
Wow.
Close your eyes. Yeah.
So I didn't mean to interrupt you before, but um Ari is a hero. He was in the army. He's a soldier. How does that inspire your music?
So I wasn't a hero, but I was in the idea.
You are a hero.
I consider it, and still, feel like it was one of the pivotal moments of my life. It trained me on how to think, and I cherish, such a great way to, get started with life, so to speak. I feel like that element kind of trickled into every place of my life. If I had to think about a specific song that really was kind of made with the inspiration of my military service, if you look at the Lecha Dodi, I wrote in the army. We had this guitar in the like the break room. When we had a couple minutes here and there, I would go in there and kind of like play on the guitar a little bit. But I couldn't sing, because you were tired, and there was no setting for it. I just decided to pick the guitar, and I wrote this tune that was like this whole orchestra of like this long tune. I clicked the recorder on, and I just recorded it, because it was this inspirational moment of this music piece that I wrote. And then I said, you know what? I'm gonna just sing from my soul. This is all like at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. No words, just hum. I'm gonna hum it out. I'm gonna hum out what I want to write later on, or whatever it is. So I hum over the music. I forgot about it, like, for years. I threw it in my drawer and just closed off, the USB. I moved it from one phone to the other phone to the US, and it's somewhere in there. And told him, and he says to me, Ari, it's been a minute. Let's write something. So we get into the studio. I'm like, no problem. We get into the studio. We sit down. It's freezing cold. It was like Hanukkah in Jerusalem or something. And he's like, we're going to write something tonight. Like, and I said, well, hold on a sec. I was in Israel, like we had a little storage in Israel. I went to pick up like the rest of my stuff, because my dad wanted to return the storage back. In the car, I had this old package of this old music that these songs. I'm like, I wonder if that's, because I couldn't remember it for the life of me. I brought it downstairs, and he and I punched out that night Call of the Soul. That's the song. It's called Call of. And then
All these stories.
and then I wrote the same tune for Lecha Dodi and filmed it in the area of the base that I was on when I wrote the song. It was so inspiring. I decided I'm going to go down to the Jordan Valley, out to the area. Obviously we couldn't be in the same vicinity, but like as close as possible and safe to do, right? And we filmed the Lecha Dodi music video. And it was just, I think that's my most viewed video is the Lecha Dodi from that recording. And you asked about the military inspiration. That was written while I was probably 20 years old in the military, and so I sang it and filmed it, you know.
You know, I interviewed a Jewish chef, a pretty popular chef, and I asked him, I said, does everyone ever either want your leftovers? They always want you to invite them over for Shabbos because obviously you make really good food. Is it always, it's with me. When I see you and you're over, I'm like, come on, you gotta sing something. You've been saying something for an event I had. Do you have people saying, come on, just sing something, man. Just sing something.
I have happens, look, if I can sing something, I do. And Believe it or not, I'm kind of shy. I still have anxiety every time I
I
have to get
don't believe it.
on stage. I'm fine. The adrenaline kicks in. I'm good. But the pre-anxiety part of it, like, because I'm a perfectionist, I don't want to screw up
You are a
anything.
perfectionist.
So I come, I plan. It's like every little thing, and so like you said, like we started with the chuppah. You don't get a second get. You're not gonna go destroy someone's chuppah, or ruin the most special day of their lives. Like I remember getting to a chuppah, and the videographer's USB was fried, and the guy like this is 20 minutes before they're supposed to walk down the aisle. So they're not have a video from their chuppah, you know what I mean? And like that had nothing to do with us. So, but I just like put myself in the moment of like those people, those poor people that paid this photographer all this money, and it's not his fault. It's like
Yeah.
it happens, and what are you gonna do? But it's just a lot of pressure to make sure that everything's on time. We managed to My producer luckily had an alternative cable for him. And he brings 4 changes for every little thing, like, he's like, "Oh, I got it. I got one. Here you go." Rummages in his stuff, pulls it out, gives it to him, saves the day. The guy It's funny because this guy was so thankful that he gave me the footage. He put like a whole like a B-roll right on to me during the clip-up. And this guy gave me the footage from that B-roll, which made one of my most popular.
Was that the outside wedding?
That's the wedding that is no, it's got like it starts out with my producer. It's the Imish Kachech, and then I'm singing and behind me there's like the Aron Kodesh. It was inside a shul.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, I posted it, it got like half a million.
Jeez.
It was like a insane because it was so good, high quality. Very rarely do you have like the camera right on you in the right angle to give you the perfect footage that you want, and that's as a result of the mitzvah that we did for this. For
That
this,
kindness goes extremely far. Trust me, I know.
it's unbelievable. You know how many chuppahs I got from that video?
I
Like
can only imagine.
people called and booked. But yeah, see, you put out
I
something
already
that
reserved you for one of my kids' weddings, so whoever thinks they're gonna take that date, then sorry, too bad. You owe it to me.
I will be happy to come
I don't
and
know
sing.
why you owe it to me, but I just said that anyway.
I'll
I
be
want
happy.
so knowing you for so long, I know you're not a follower, you don't really care what people think, not in a bad way, like, it doesn't mean you're rude, but, like, so with music, you have to kinda change that mentality a little because although you're doing it for yourself, you wanna sing something that people wanna hear. So how do you mix those 2 emotions of, "You know what, like, I'm used to being someone, like, I'm not a follower, what you say doesn't bother me, but with music, I want something that everybody loves." How do you just turn that on?
So I'll tell you. So I got another story for you. I put out Shema Yisrael, right? It was one. I think it was the second song I put out. When I came back to my music, I put out Mikimi, and then I put out Shema, and I posted the Shema on Facebook or something. And it was just gaining some traction and popularity and moving. And I get this really. And now remember, this is pre-October 7th, pre all of the social media craziness that we have right now. So
Go crazy now.
people are not typically gonna write the nastiest stuff that you see today. And I posted it. It's getting traction. It's got about 10,000. It's kind of like moving, And I get a really nasty comment. I open my phone Motzi Shabbos. Something about auto tune or something stupid, like, oh, this is auto tuned. You're fake or whatever. So I was so upset. I looked at his profile and I saw that he is a guitar player. He's a musician. So I reached out to him and I DM'd him. I said, I want to try to understand something. I mean, you may not like the music, right? But like, why would you waste your time going on my page?
Yes, thank you for saying that.
Reading can't you just go like, why are you on my page? And sorry about the algorithm. Like, I do apologize that got pushed at you. Just swipe up. I wrote it in a really nice way. I was like, why do you feel the need to go on like it takes an extra effort to do that? I guess I was just really upset,
Oh, yeah, trust me, I know.
And he answered. He did. He said, I thought about it, and you're right. I shouldn't have done that. I guess I just feel like the younger generation needs to learn or something. And I respected him. And I said, yes, there's better ways of teaching. How about leading by personal example? Why don't you put out some of your music? Like, I saw your stuff and actually like it. And I don't hear from him for a month. That was my response. But all of a sudden I get a response back.
Oh.
And he says, "You really inspired me. I removed the comment. I apologize. And I put out some music videos. Like I put out, and here's a link, check it out." And so we become friends.
Is
So
that why you haven't been hanging out with me? You have a new friend?
no, listen to
Okay,
so
sorry.
he calls me and we talked, and he said to me, "Ari, I want to give you a little bit of a tip. When I put that comment, I had 155 written, recorded songs that I have recorded and I've never put out. You you reached out to me, we had our exchange, and your kindness, your kind words that you said, your encouragement coming from you, a musician, a singer, you took the time to listen to my stuff and said it was good. And that inspired me to release all these videos. And I look back and I want you to just know, don't let anybody in this world tell you how you should feel. You are the only one that should be telling you.
You guys just met. That's powerful.
And if you remember that, it's because whenever you get flustered, you're like, who is controlling how I feel right now? Is it someone else or is it me? Because if it's someone else, I'm not going to let that happen. I'm not going to let that control me. And you see this a lot in life, where people do stupid things or they'll say, because they're letting something else or someone else control how they feel.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that exchange with him really taught me. I mean, we eventually kind of moved on, but early on in my career as a musician, my releases and stuff, I realized I'm not going to be one of those. And I have gotten a lot of flack since, obviously, especially since October 7th, just for being who I am, and and obviously the way that this world is going. But I feel like if you don't carve a place for yourself in this world, if you don't close your eyes, right? In my case, if you don't close your eyes, center yourself, wear your personal hat, right? Your personal helmet, and go, I'm going to control the way that I feel. I am always going to control the way that I feel. I will
Yeah.
not let someone else make me feel a certain way. I could try, you obviously have to control your reactions and be disciplined about how you communicate, but it's so powerful. 10 interviews, right? And one interview out of those 10 is gonna go nuts, right? It's gonna go viral.
One.
Maybe it'll take 100, maybe it'll take 1,000, maybe it'll take 500, maybe it'll take 10, right? But if you don't get the 9 wrong, you're never gonna get that 10th one right.
I totally agree.
And that's just the most powerful thought you have to, okay, next, next, next. You know that better than everyone. You had to turn a whole new page on your life and make changes that you didn't even imagine you would ever be making. But you just marched. That's what's so powerful about this journey, is that if you march and you move forward and you just put one foot in front of the other, you'll get there.
You know what I love about music, whether you have a good voice like you or a bad voice like me, is that it's kind of like what I went through where when I was on house arrest, like a lot of my distractions that I used to have go away because they're basically, well, I mean, in my case, I couldn't use the internet, but when you're singing, you kind of get rid of all those distractions. It's just you and whatever you're thinking about, whether it's God, whether it's family. You don't think about who's going to call me on my phone. You don't think about the next bill I'm going to pay. It's really like a peaceful thing for anyone. It's really a way to connect to things that you don't usually connect to because we go from 0 to 60, our daily life like this. Like we don't stop. And music, you have to stop. Some people dance, but you literally stop and you just think about maybe one or two things that are so important to you, or you think about nothing, but there's no distractions. It's the most peaceful thing. I think that's why everyone does it, whether you have a good voice or not, because it's an escape. It, that's what I think. You escape from everything.
Let me ask you a question. Do you feel the same way when you're listening to music?
Yes, because I don't think about anything else. I just listen to the music. I don't care who you are, whether you listen to rock, whether you listen to like goth, you stop and you just listen to it, and it puts you in a mood. I mean, some music puts you in a interesting mood, but yeah, I definitely do. When I listen to music, I just stop and I think about the music, and I think about something good. I think about something peaceful. I don't think about who's about to call me. I don't think about what's on TV. It does put me at a still, which I love.
That's a very interesting perspective, what you're saying now, because I've heard a lot of people describe their journey with music. Obviously, your journey is different than mine, and not in the sense that it's better or worse. It's just I think that you experience music in a way that is very, very strong.
I'm telling you, I never used to carry AirPods around because I didn't like when people were talking to themselves. They had it. I carry them everywhere I go because if I have a moment, I stick them in my ears and I just listen to music. I'm telling you, that's what whether I'm walking, whether I'm going to a Publix, whatever it is, I have my AirPods and I just listen to music because I
What
know.
kind what kind of music do you like? What's your
Well, I like
go
Ari Fraser music, but by the way, 95% of my music is Jewish music now. I don't know what happened. I think it's because I connect to religion more, but I find it so peaceful. Like I'll tell you, one of my favorite songs is Benny Friedman and On Vado. I love that song. If you listen to the words, it's amazing. I can listen to that song a million times. I listen to Lifehouse. I listen to like you got a lot of Jewish music, like your style of music. I listen to slower stuff because it puts me at peace. It makes me connect to my religion again. It makes me connect to what I enjoy. It makes me stop and forget about all the bad stuff. And even if it makes me cry, like I used to go to walk when I was able to, when I got off house arrest, I used to go for walks at like 4 in the morning and I would just take a walk and I start crying while listening to music. Like this is for real. And I would just like feel better because I feel like everything's good now. Everything's okay because I forgot about all the bad stuff. And I'm still realistic, but it's nice to get an escape sometimes. And I was able to escape with music at 4 in the morning, or I'd go for a run and I would just listen to music, or like I said, I'd be in a grocery store and I'd listen to music, and I'd have tears in my eyes while in the grocery store because I'm like, this is making me feel better. This is making me just give me a chance to forget about all the bad stuff and just be at peace. And why could I not be at peace whenever I want?
I think that that's a very special connection that you have with music. I don't think everyone has it. I really don't. What you're describing is a state of mind that you're in constantly. Because in order to enjoy music the way that you do, meaning you're letting the music take you on a journey. You understand? So that happens to me when I'm writing, right? And you're in that state of mind when you're listening to the music, when you're hearing the music, you're letting that music carry you on a journey. It's a very special state of mind.
Who knows what it feels like unless I hate to say you go through something like I went through where you realize how nice it is to escape all the stupidity out there. You can't connect to it unless you've experienced what it's like to connect to peacefulness. Everyone's like, I'm at peace, that I'm a spiritual high, but you don't really know what that feels like because you're always distracted. And I'm not trying to bash anyone particular, but I was at peace even when I was going through hell because I had a chance to just sit down and think and not go so fast and just worry about everything in life. And I was still realistic. Like I said, it doesn't mean I was in denial. That's very different. But I had a chance to be at peace. So now I know how to find that peace again. And it's listening to music. It's praying. Praying I compare to music. It's a chance to take advantage of that moment and just think about what's important because we don't take enough time to do that. We rush everything.
I think that it's a very special place, Yosh. You should hang on to that as much as you can,
I
because
can't lose it. I need to keep it. I have to.
life will, and if you think about it, that's the structure of what Judaism is all about. Because Judaism is essentially it's a discipline for you to take yourself away from whatever it is that you're busy doing in the day, 3 times a day, right? In the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. And what is it doing? It's reminding you that you don't have to worry, that you're not in control. You're in control of how you respond, but you're not in control. You feel that loss of control, but not in an anxiety disciplinary kind of way. You do it for yourself every day when you go and pray, or you take time off and do Shabbos, right? So you're supposed to just disconnect, shut yourself off. You do the Chagim, the holidays. For us, it's always been a challenge. Like, we're going to close, we're going to open. The employee, you think you're going to lose money every holiday, every time we close. There's just blessing. And
I don't want to be that white picket fence Jew where, people used to ask you, what does it mean to be Orthodox? Keep Shabbos, keep kosher, daven 3 times a day. I don't want to be that anymore. And I found a way to not be it. I found more meaning. And I pray that people find the meaning and that you're never content in life. You can't be.
I feel like sometimes people that don't feel comfortable feeling spiritual, they stick to the regiments of very regimented, action oriented Judaism, I call it, because you don't feel comfortable feeling spiritual, something's going on inside you. Like you said, either you're distracted and you have a lot of distractions that are pulling you away, which is fine. We all have distractions. But why are you going and dedicating that time and spending the 20 minutes or the half an hour or the hour or the Shabbos without going through the full experience? Like you have a chance to
Look,
do it. And
when are people most happy? And it doesn't matter if you're Jewish or not. It's when they're going to God or whatever, and they're saying, God, please help me. Please help me get through this. You feel a connection and you feel at peace because you're talking to God. So why would you not do that more often, especially when you have opportunities all the time? When you dive in, you should always speak to God. It's your opportunity to stop everything and just focus on you and God. When I listen to music, it's my chance to focus on what is important to me. And if you already have the tricks to be at peace, why would you not use them more often? Like, why would you not be addicted to being at peace? There's no better feeling. It's the best feeling. So why would you not do it more often?
there's probably a good explanation. We feel shame.
Get
We
over it because you know what? One day you're gonna turn around and be like, oops, I knew how to do it, but I didn't do it. I'm telling you.
Right. But hear me out for just on that thought, right? Like we all know what it's like to go to chakras, in the morning after a night out, where being and doing things you weren't supposed to be or do, right? And it puts you in a place where you actually feel uncomfortable being spiritual. You're like, how can I lie?
Lame excuse. I'm sorry, because Hashem is not kicking you to the curb.
Right. I understand. But human nature is going to always be to do what's natural. And so humans at that point will feel less comfortable being in that space of vulnerability and doing the tshuva that they need to do and realizing, yes, I'm human. And yes, there's no place for me to place any judgment on myself. And so I think that this the key point of being able to connect the way that you connect is to have no shame, is to be in a place where you're comfortable with yourself and you know how to, speak to God and communicate with Him in a way that makes sense to you, but you do it for real. And it's almost like a negotiation. I remember the inspiring moments that I had. I was sitting there one Yom Kippur, Yosh. I think it was before Ne'ilah, and I didn't feel Yom Kippur that year at all. I was great. I sang. But that Yom Kippur that year was a difficult year for me. But it was hard for me to connect. It was harder for me to connect. And in the last prayer of Yom Kippur in Ne'ilah, I remember just sitting there thinking to myself, you know what? You're going to get up there and pray because you're Shliach Tzibur. I'm the person doing the Elah. It's like I got to do this for everyone. You know what I mean? So I negotiated with God. I actually said to him, listen, I know I've sinned this year a lot. And I know I'm probably going to sin next year the same stupid sins that I did this year. And, my tshuva is momentary, which is right. I'm doing tshuva right now because obviously it's Yom Kippur. I'm supposed to do tshuva and I'm inspired. But I need you to help me. Help me feel. Help me feel. I pray for this day so that I can feel, not so that I could just stand here and pray with you. And as I'm saying that, I'm realizing, hey, every single person here in the shul wants to feel. They all are yearning for feeling. So I start praying for them too. I'm like, and give every single person here in the shul the ability to connect, break their heart just a little bit so that my singing, my inspiration, whatever I do goes in somewhere, holds the door open just for enough time for them to experience the real feeling of doing tshuva. It doesn't take long. You just have to look. It's like a lightning moment, right? Lightning happens and you see everything, and then you get your perspective back. And you went through a lightning moment in your life. You had a little of what of, and it wasn't so little, but it was very bright, and you all of a sudden got to see what's real and what's not, what's true and what's false, what's healthy and what's unhealthy. And you can't expect everyone to be on that level just yet, but you could definitely try to figure out, and this is what I think you are doing great work with, is you're figuring out how to give little flickers of lightning into people's life.
100%. I'll kind of end on this note just as far as the conversation part. And to put in perspective, my last Ne'ilah, my
I forgot to tell you. I forgot to say. I had the best Ne'ilah I've ever had.
I was just gonna ruin that with my story.
There's Listen to this. There's a particular member in the shul that comes to me every single year before Ne'ilah, and he's like, "Listen, Ari." I'm gonna come tap on your shoulder when it's about 5 minutes before the end, okay? And God forbid you're over even a little bit, right? He's like, you know what? Why don't you just give me your watch, okay? Because I don't wear a watch, it's watch, and right before the 5 minutes are up. That way I know, like, you're gonna come and hand me your watch, and I know, okay, I got 5 minutes, okay? He's like, you promise? I'm like, I promise. The guy didn't show up that year. I'm like, what's good? The rabbi turns around and he's like, Ari, we finished. And the rabbi turns like, Ari, it's like, I don't know, it's like 6:30. We went on until 6:45. And nobody in the shul noticed. He didn't notice it. I'm like, what did you do? You threw me under the bus. I said, honestly, Ari, we were crying. We were crying. The whole shul was,
Aw, I love your
you know,
crying stories. Well, I'm not gonna add what happened to my last Neela because it doesn't even matter. I like to end with a happy note, with the cry. It was a good crying. My last Neela, right before I was about to Neela, my monitor went off and I had to answer my phone right before Neela, right where I was about to go 3 steps back.
and
And I just said, Hashem, that's okay. You're only making me stronger. And you're talking to me right now. That's what I said. I had no choice because the day after Yom Kippur, my house gets raided. So I don't look. I think it's Hashem's talking to me, and I just and like you said about closing your eyes when you sing, we have to also open our eyes to what's out there and the message that we're getting. But we're never going to learn, and we're always going to come with excuses, and we don't have time for excuses. We have too much going on right now where it's time to open your eyes and it's time to close your eyes. Simple as that.
yep.
I want to go over the phone with you because you're my fun friend.
I think you need to close your eyes though before you open them. That's just my only
I agree.
comment. Close your eyes in the sense of anchoring to yourself. Get to know yourself.
I
Understand
totally
your.
agree. It's very peaceful to close your eyes.
It is.
Okay. Quick question, multiple choice questions.
Okay.
Okay. So first one, soccer or basketball?
Basketball.
Wow. Favorite color?
Shine black.
Okay. Best friend. Okay.
Yeah,
You
you.
better say that.
And life, if you're watching. Yes, Tiffany.
Yes. Yes. Well, better watch all my episodes. Or my voice in the caller. Champagne or wine?
Definitely wine.
Wow. Okay. Sauna or hot tub?
Yeah. A sauna, probably. A wet sauna, though.
Okay. You still owe me a visit, but okay.
Do it.
Run or lift? We'll do the next episode in your sauna.
Run or lift. I guess it depends on the day, right? No. I enjoy running more.
Me too. You can
Yeah.
see, by the way, all my medals.
I know. I used to like lifting more. I used to hate running. Once I got
Me
runner's
too.
high.
By the way, I officially signed up for the full Miami Marathon, and it's a good thing because it's sold out now.
Oh my God. I told my wife we're gonna go to the Orlando. She wants to do the
The Disney one?
Disney one.
Yeah, my
Right.
buddies have done that. It's so fun. And also, I want to let you know, I did a 72-hour liquid diet that just ended yesterday. I mean, Wednesday.
Really?
Yeah,
Like a
it was actually. By the way, I want to let you know that I now have a different mindset. It was just black coffee, which I drink anyway, water and chicken broth, and my approach towards food changed just from those 3 days. Like I don't have cravings as much. I'm just like, oh, I want to eat this. I want to snack. Like it's pretty cool, by the way, and it wasn't so bad. So, and I wanted to do something extreme before I start training for the run because then I know I'm serious.
Yes. I was just about to say it's like a gateway to the seriousness of your
Yeah.
diet. Like you're
100%. And my wife said I look a little bit better. So I'm not strong like you, but I'll get there one day. I hope. Okay. Mozzarella sticks or chicken fingers? Don't even ask.
chicken fingers,
Wow. Okay. I'm the opposite. Chinese food or Israeli food?
Chinese,
Dog or cat?
dog, dog all day.
Oh, so you want more dogs?
Yeah. The option of dogs. I already have 3 dogs. So yeah.
We're not going to get, I was going to get into that, but I'm not going to. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie is probably I want to say The Gladiator.
I love that movie. By the way, the second one wasn't so great, but I think it's also you compare it to the first one, which is one of the best movies ever.
I'll tell you, I saw that movie when I was, I think, like 13 or 14 years old or whenever it came out. We saw it in this huge screen, and I was on vacation in Tiberias, so we got to like go out to the park and we watched it on this blown up
That's so cool.
25 meter screen. And I was a kid, so we're sitting there and we all got like down on the grass, My God, and the speakers behind us were like, I think I experienced 3D before 3D was like, you know what I mean? Like you felt like you were in the movie. I even wrote one of my one of my chuppah songs was inspired by that. You know,
That movie was so awesome.
yeah, the music was amazing.
I
Oh
could
my,
watch it over and over again because it literally had everything in it. Okay, this is my last one. Music makes me feel like happy. I love that. Well, I know we could talk for hours. And I really miss you, and I'm glad we're able to bond. And thanks for putting tears in my eyes in my own show. But I'm really proud of you, what you've done, to make a difference. Which I know you already made a difference in my life, but with your music, it's really inspirational. I love seeing you happy. I love seeing you letting your heart out, and I just hope you keep doing it because you have a gift, and I think when someone has a gift, in all honesty, they should use it, and you're doing that. So between me and all your fans, we're very thankful, and I love you very much. I hope to celebrate many Simchas with you and your family, and thank you for being on my show. That's all I could say. I wanted to come straight from my heart.
well, thank you for having me, and you were a great host. And have a wonderful, wonderful, inspiring Shabbos. And may we only meet in joyous occasions where I have that mic in my hand and sing, or without it.
And we'll meet in person more.
All right.
Love you guys. Have a great Shabbos.